Okay, so go ahead and start then. Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our virtual events from the Coffee Roasters Guild. This is part of our Still Roasting project, which is a conversation of coffee professionals, and this time is based around roasters in Europe. I'm joined with my host today, which is Kaya, who works for Nordic Approach. And then we've got a few of our good coffee friends from around Europe with us today to sort of have a chat about the current kind of situation that everyone's kind of going through, and just have a different perspectives from different people around Europe. Well, first of all, my name's Stephen. I'm the head roaster of Bailey's Coffee Roasters based in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and I'm also on the leadership council of the the leadership council of the Coffee Roasters Guild. We recently changed our name, so over to you, Kaya.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm Kaya. I work with Nordic Approach Coffee Importers based in Oslo. Yeah, I also work with the Coffee Roasters Guild. I can't remember the group I'm in. I'm in several. I do a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. So we'll go through, and I'd like all of our panelists to introduce themselves. Just tell us who you are, where you're from. So if we'll go in alphabetical order, Dan, if you want to start us off.
So I'm Dan, and I'm co-roaster of Canada Coffee in Galway, Ireland. So we're relatively new. We started about 2 years ago. So I don't think many people know of us yet. But yeah, that's us.
Okay, and who we got next? Lisa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lisa Lawson, and I'm the founder of Deer Green Coffee Roasters in Glasgow in Scotland. We've been going for nearly 9 years now. And yeah, I also run the Glasgow Coffee Festival, which is in year 6. And I was originally in the European Roasters Guild, which is now the Coffee Roasters Guild. So I was in the working group to set that up originally. So it's nice of Stephen to invite me back to this call.
And Marit, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Marit, working for Tim Mendelbo. Been there for 5 years now, so it's been a while. I'm the roastery manager, roaster, and also barista. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And Simo.
Hello everybody. Simo. My name is Simo, and I'm the head roaster at Solberg & Hansen. Our company is one of the oldest one in Norway or in Scandinavia since 1879, and one of the biggest specialty coffee roasteries in Scandinavia actually. I've been roasting for 17 years, and yeah, so still here.
That's great. I think we'll just dive in. We've got a few different questions for and we're just kind of interested to hear kind of everyone's perspectives and kind of what everyone's been going through. So as soon as I'll get started, and then I don't know, whoever wants to go first can jump in. One of the questions we had was, what will the future look like for your company, taking into consideration that we're already kind of in the real midst of kind of the global pandemic? How do you think the future is going to look for you as a person, but also as your company? Does anyone want to jump in there, or? Go on, Dan. You go ahead first. Sure. I'm just start picking people.
I don't know. It's strange for us because we started so recently. I don't think it's had like such a huge effect on us compared to like a roastery that's been going for over 10 years. But I definitely think the future for us anyway is going to be more. We're definitely more focused now on like the home brewers and things like that. So one of the main things we've done since this has happened is before we were kind of like talking, we were trying to talk to the cafe owners and the cafes and things like that, and now we're kind of like tailoring the conversation to more like the end consumer, the people brewing at home. So I don't know, it's hard to know like what's going to happen, but I definitely think this has made us realize, you know, how big that kind of market is, you know, like selling directly to people instead of through cafes and things like that. So yeah, I think the main thing is we've kind of like changed who we're speaking to, and whether that will continue, I'm not too sure, really. I don't know if anyone else is, yeah.
But we've definitely seen that in like Bailey's. It's changed our kind of like obviously the drop in wholesale is going to always affect things, but you're kind of rejuvenated by a lot more people kind of getting interested from a home point of view. So now it's I think a lot of people probably be quite similar. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we lost 93% of our business just overnight. So the wholesale side of our business has completely dropped. I think we started April with 4 wholesale customers after spending, you know, years of blood, sweat and tears starting a company, building up a company. So that was a big blow to us, but also I think, you know, I'm a positive thinker, and we were really fortunate. We already had an online presence. We already had gone through, you know, lots of problem solving with online issues over the last few years, and kind of streamlined what we offer. But to be honest, I hadn't put too much energy into it. So it had been kind of sitting and waiting and was ready to go. And organically, our online sales have just grown. So we haven't really had to push them at all. We've had enough online sales to keep us going, to cover the costs, outgoing costs of the roastery, to keep some jobs secure in this initial phase. Who knows what we'll talk about the future. The future just changes every week. So it's very difficult right now to really predict. So I think initially everyone really was locked down and bought coffee for home. Everyone's working from home. We had our subscriptions were being increased to weekly subscriptions and 2 bags per week instead of 1 bag per month. So we've seen change in consumer habits, but that change might change again. So it might go back to 1 bag a month as people go back to work. And like Dan, we've seen there is a bigger opportunity out there, and there's a market share, I think, for us. And we've had a lot of local support. So maybe people locally who buy from elsewhere have thought, okay, let's support our local economy rather than buy from overseas or some, you know, another city in the UK. So I feel it's been a positive journey so far. And then gradually we see places starting to open. So originally cafes were shut for 3 weeks, and now they're open to takeaway. And every week there's more and more cafes opening. So we ended May with 44 customers. So, you know, it is a progression, and it's not the same volume. And we just have to adapt and be smart every week to maintain our online presence and be able to just see the trends and be aware of what's going on around us, and be supportive for our customers, our wholesale customers, but also just be really aware of what's going on online and how we can work with that as a new hybrid model for the company going forward, and trying to do them both well rather than our online just being this little thing we had as an extra add-on. I think it's kind of flipping, the weighting is flipped. So now it's online with a little bit of wholesale, but who knows how that's going to move forward. But I think we're ready for it. So yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear. Amara, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, most of the thoughts you guys already have had, we also deal with. A little bit more web shop, and the subscription is also very steady or increasing a little bit. So that's good. And yeah, we supply to a lot of different restaurants and cafes, and we've been working close with a lot of them for many years. So I think a lot of them have already opened, and that's good. So the ball is kind of starting to roll again. But we don't know yet if there is a lot of cafes that had to close permanently or would go bankrupt, and that's like our main business. So of course you can get stressed if you think too much about that. But as Lisa said, a lot of people are thinking about, like, they want to support the local businesses, and that's good. Yeah.
I agree with Marit when it comes to we don't know exactly what's going to happen with our customers in a 2 times or on a 2 or 3 months perspective. So we don't know yet which ones will survive from this situation. But I'm a little bit more optimistic, and it's up to every business to find out how to operate, and I think we as a company, Solberg Hansen, quite big company, we operate in different markets, and this has been quite successful for us. Also, some of our biggest customers, they didn't close during the situation, which made part of our production more predictable. And it started very bad for us. It started like the first and second week, we were like 90% down for a big company. But gradually, it it started to work better for us. And the last weeks, after the measures that the government took, and the positive development, regarding the corona, people infected by corona, the coffee bars are starting, the restaurants are starting and opening up, and we see some positive development, And also, I'm thinking about another thing. If you compare now and 15, 20 years ago, now, the odds are much better to succeed, to be more optimistic, because I think even in such difficult times, we in the coffee community have created some expectation regarding the quality of the coffee. So I see people that they're really looking forward and appreciate a great cup of coffee. So they support their local roasteries and the specialty coffee roasteries, which I think is positive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. That's something we've definitely seen. I think we're very lucky to all be part of this coffee community. And kind of everyone kind of wants to help each other. We have a lot of friends who buy from us, and I buy from other friends, and like it kind of everyone wants to see this after this is all over as well. So I think that's I think we all want to see it. we all want to have jobs after this anyway. So, Do you want to ask the next question, Kaya, or do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, just hearing people's voices and talking about life gets me all emotional, and I'm like thinking, no, but I'm like thinking about what everyone's been through. It's been pretty hectic. And I mean, Simo, you've been in the industry for so long, and I mean, you've experienced so many things, everything from roastery fires to the financial crisis. So, I mean, it must have been a big hit, but I can totally understand why it's easier for you to be more optimistic, having more years behind
Channels.
you, let's say it that way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I had the next, yeah, sorry, Simon, you can go ahead.
Also because I work for a quite solid company.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, I really understand, the new guys who they start right now. The uncertainty is huge, So
Yeah.
during this 150 years of our existence, I think we have people that work in different departments and trying to use models and try to find out, to predict somehow, follow up the customers, and to make this future look brighter somehow. But we acknowledge the situation, of course. But yeah, being in the market for so many years and have different channels, it's a good option.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when I was working with Solberg and Hansen, which is now 7
Five.
years ago, 6?
Five,
No, it
6.
must be more. But I don't know. A long time ago.
We miss you guys.
I miss you guys too. I mean, I remember when I was working there, you didn't have the web shop, which you started like 2 years ago. When did you start the web shop?
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, because I mean, you should be so happy that you started 2, 3 years ago and you didn't wait on it, because I think that was my next question, because I've talked to so many roasters that have been based on their wholesale customers and not any of the home roasters. So I've talked to a lot of people that have had to build an entire web shop and like manage all of the like teeny tiny small orders that all take so much time to pack, and all of the handling and all of the registration. And I mean, how has the change been for everyone, taking into consideration everyone has had to deal with web shop orders that are, number one, more time consuming, number two, you don't earn as much money because it's just one in one bag, number three, how to handle all of that work, because I'm guessing everyone has had to lay people off, maybe take down the percentage of work hours. Do you get my drift? Yeah. Marit, do you want to go first? Web orders, your favorites?
Yes. Prepping, everything. Make it ready. Whenever I have time, I'm like folding and wrapping as much as I can to prepare for ordering. Because sometimes you get like 20 orders in 10 minutes and you just have to make it to the post before 4. So it's I've been running up, the hill from the hill up to Tøye and Kaja. I've been running up that hill with big jute bags on my shoulders.
It's steep.
So I'm ready for the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's time consuming. But I mean, it's been fun to do something different and just have to, I don't know, pull it together and make it, because you know that this income is important. This is really important. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you also launch your new web shop just not that long ago?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been hectic learning a whole new system. But luckily the system is really easy. So it was a few bugs in the beginning, and this was we launched it in March, I think. So it was just right before everything happened. So yeah, it's been hectic, but now I feel like, yeah, we learned a lot and we're on top of things now, and yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been difficult, and especially to handle the delay, the delivery delay that we've been struggling with, especially like outside Norway as well. So yeah. But
yeah, we actually made the decision to pay more. I think it worked out €1 more per packet, but to use DHL, because the post was just taking way too long. It was taking like 2, sometimes 3 weeks for coffee to get to people. and
Oh,
I don't know, it was just like we were telling everyone to be patient, but you know, if someone's been waiting 2 weeks for their coffee, you can't. We knew it was on the way, but it's hard to tell people to be patient. So we were just like, you know, we're just gonna start paying more and getting like a, I don't know, a more reliable courier, I guess. It's been good. It's been good. Obviously, it's cost us more, but I think we've made a point of like focusing on getting coffee quickly to people and just like good customer service and things like that. And I think the repeat orders we've had from focusing on that has kind of justified it. I hope.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, Dan. Like I think we really wanted to change our like an out of office reply to be like, if you're messaging us about postage, please wait, because it was just we were the same. Like we could get local stuff out so quickly, like get the order process packed straight out the door, and it'd be like the next day. But then like people were literally like 4 or 5 days, like, where's my coffee? And you're like,
yeah.
So I feel your pain.
We even started doing our own deliveries in Galway, so we were for the first time like driving around hand delivering stuff, and you know, I don't really want to do that. That was hard work.
Yeah, we've had exactly the same. We've had, you know, we'd send post out in the UK and it would arrive maybe in London the next day, but it would arrive in a postcode in Glasgow 2 weeks later. So we couldn't really control. I think every area and every local postal service was going through their own problems. But yeah, our administration side of the business has been really time consuming. Questions about where's my coffee, and you know, we just send a polite answer because we're like, well, you know, there's a pandemic. So I don't know, what can you say? Or lots of people ask if we grind coffee, which is something we were aiming towards never grinding any coffee again for customers, but had to actually just let our guard down with that. From a quality point of view, we want everyone to grind freshly, but at this time you have to just make sure people have coffee if they want it. So we had to let that go. Yeah. But yeah, it's been tricky, like working on efficiencies, trying to make sure we do things on time. We have the post collect from our roastery, so we have to have everything ready by 2:45, which means that actually we've had to start work earlier, which is almost nicer in a way. It's all right. So yeah, we've got to rush around in the morning and then deciding what roaster to use depending on what volume we have. So we're able to manage volumes by roasting on our 5 kilo roaster, but then maybe we get more orders in and we're like, oh, we should have done that on a 25 kilo. So same amount of time, but different, but just trying to manage that so the coffee is always fresh. So every like before is like every day is a new challenge. So some volumes are quite high, and then one day and not so much the next day, and then working out what coffee to get from green coffee to order as well. Managing those volumes for, you know, a smaller output was tricky at the start, but yeah, we kind of got through it. And with less staff, like you say, Kaya, I stupidly thought I could do it on my own.
Bless you. Bless you, Lisa.
I quickly realised I couldn't actually roast, pack, deliver to the emails. Yeah, and we hand delivered Dan as well for a week, and then I actually found it really like quite emotionally draining in a way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was quite awkward as well because it was like I didn't feel like I didn't know whether I was breaking any like coronavirus rules or anything, so I was kind of the only one, well, especially at the start, kind of driving around, and I just felt a bit, I don't know, it just felt a bit wrong, even though it was completely fine and we were we can do it. It was just a bit weird.
Yeah, and it's more time consuming
Yeah,
than you think it is, even if it saves cost, but your time is a cost. So yeah.
What about you, Simo? With the web shop?
Web shop is not our, the biggest part of our, operations, but we saw immediately in the first and the second week quite, big increase. And as you all guys mentioned, it's really time consuming, and it was pretty new situation for all of us. And we had a huge losses on bulk production, or big size, big bag productions, but we have a quite big increase in the in the web shop orders, which are normally 250 grams and stuff like that. So but it was like after a couple of weeks, it was more like balanced, and we recovered again the normal production. So in the meantime, we had to adapt a lot, how we do the production and the planning, and we had to operate with different sizes, as Lisa mentioned as well, because one day you have to roast 20 kilos of a coffee, the other day you have to roast 40, or the other one you have to roast 15. So we need to, one of the changes we did on our lowering, we have to to design some new profiles, from going from 30 kilos to 20, and also 15. So this is, it was fun, it is challenging, it was a lot of work, but we are dependent on our customers, and we are dependent in the situation, and as far as the situation goes better, in Norway, or with the pandemic and with our customers, we are really happy to provide what they need. So yeah.
I think that's the kind of thing that was interesting for us as well, because I think we're I think we might be similar size, Simo, in terms of like our roastery. We probably roast around 300 ton a year in Baileys, and we use a Probat Neptune 500, the 120 kilo. So like switching, yeah, I thought you used to have the same one, like having to make adjustments to try and see if you can profile from an 80 or 100 kilo batch down to our P5, which is 4.5, 5 kilo batches. Was it was a lot of fun. Like I enjoyed the sort of challenge of it, but you gotta, like, it's that learn how to adapt to things.
it's one thing is to roast on a 10 kilo roaster, or 5 or 30. The costs are huge if you want to go from 100 kilo batch to 50 or 60. If you screw it, then you have it costs a lot. But we've been doing this, not exactly this scenario, but during the years, because some products sell more than others, we had to to create some profiles for each kind of coffee, for 40 kilo, 60, 100, whatever, Yeah, so we use that that knowledge, that experience that we have from before, and of course, using all the other systems like Cropsters or whatever,
Sure.
But it's good in hard times like this one, you really need to be lucky, but you really need also to use all the experience you got, everybody, all the team experience you got.
Yeah, that's quite that'll be a good segue to our next question. And so since like everyone's kind of been going through the same thing from roughly the same sort of period of sort of mid-March, how has it really affected the team that you work with? Things like workflow, your salaries, and even like down to your work hours. Do you want to give any thoughts on maybe what those kind of changes have meant to you in terms of like even from a personal point of view, well, like how it's affected you and your work? I know some people here, like Lisa, you obviously own the company. Like myself, I work for someone else. So there's always going to be little bits of differences like that. But I suppose how's it really affected your kind of day to day, and your like even things down to like prices as well? Have you seen any big changes there? If anyone wants to
well,
jump in.
I guess for me, by I have a team of 10, including me, and the UK government offered a scheme where we could have a job retention scheme, and we furlough the staff for an initial period of 3 months, and then the guidelines around how long that's going on for keep changing. But the government covered 80% of the salary, and I offered all of that to staff right at the beginning, just at lockdown, because I didn't want anyone working at Deer Green if they felt uncomfortable coming to work. I guess there's an argument about coffee being an essential product. So we all say yes, it's essential, of course. But I didn't want anyone coming to work at a roastery if they didn't think that that was the right thing for them. So 7 staff took furlough. I had someone work with me 4 days a week, and someone worked from home who eventually then came in 2 days a week. So that's how we've operated. And then we unfurloughed another staff member. So now we're up to 4 of us full time. So that's good. We've progressed. We're busy enough that we need more people. But for me personally, it's been really stressful dealing with staff and managing their expectations and their safety, the risk factors around being at work, the risk factors are around being stuck at home, and trying to keep communication with everyone and staying optimistic that their jobs will be safe at the end of the furlough period. The flip side of owning a company, the other side of it is, not being a staff member but being a owner, is my life's less stressful. I don't have to manage a lot of staff every day. I don't have to, I have lower volumes and lower sales, but the world stopped a little bit, and everything's a lot calmer, and my life's pretty hectic every day of the year, and I work a lot of hours and I don't really switch off. And I think along with everyone else, even though I've still been working full time, I've managed to switch off a little bit. And so everyone's having this reset, and I think I've been having that too, and the staff have been having that, and the company's had that. So we've been able to go back and reevaluate. Like, I'm roasting again, which is great, because that's why I started roasting. I roasted 20 years ago in Australia, and then I haven't really roasted full time for about 2 or 3 years now. So to me, it's like, the adrenaline of just putting, those beans in the roaster again is just lovely. And even the adrenaline of getting coffee ready for the postman coming is brilliant. And working with a small, intimate team is really nice as well. But also with that knowledge, we want to gradually build things up again, which we are doing to get the rest of the team back. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Nice. Yeah, it's good. A nice kind of positive kind of spin on it. Being able to I was a bit like that when I started off in the company, was just doing packaging and helping the roaster, and getting the orders ready. Whereas then for a while I wasn't doing as much of that, to then have to go back to it. So yeah, I kind of I'm enjoying the challenge. What about you? What about you, Dan?
Yeah, for us, it's like I said, it hasn't affected us as much as it would the other guys. We're just a 2-person team, and obviously we still are a 2-person team. I think it's just, it's just more. It's just been a bit more hectic because it's just all small orders, and everyone, we didn't really know kind of what was going to happen. But I don't know, in terms of the team, it hasn't really affected us, which has been great, and I'm probably the only one who can say that really here. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be honest, because I think before this hit, we were kind of thinking, working towards hiring someone, and I'm kind of glad that that didn't happen. before this happened. So yeah.
For us, it was kind of the sense of uncertainty. It was quite overwhelming in the beginning because we didn't, it was huge reduction in the production, so we were very uncertain and very insecure. But it didn't last too much in our case. So in order to make sure that it will not be any risk of spreading of this coronavirus, in the roastery, we divided our team in two. So we have kind of two shifts at work. So if someone gets, how do you call it, get this virus, so the other team is safe in order to run the operation. So it started, our roasting team, which consists of 7 persons. We had to lay off 2 of them, like 50% at work and 50% at home. Thank God we live in Norway, one of the best countries in the world. So in that matter, we are quite secure in order of payments, and the government is supporting all these people who are laid off. It did last kind of 1 month, and after that, all the roastery colleagues came back and working like full time at work, still doing that. We are a big organization of 50 employees. So among these guys, we have also a concept store, which is about 4 or 5 people working there. We had to close that, and that was very pity for these guys. But the last week we reopened the shop, which is very, very good news. So yeah, it started very, very dark, very, uncertainty and insecurity. But we got this help, from the government, like anyone company in Norway does. And yeah, everybody's back at work now, and feels good. We are very optimistic.
That's good. We lost you for a bit there, Mart. Did you hear the question, or?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We were just kind of like more kind of having I suppose a chat, just kind of more towards like I suppose changes to how the lockdowns affected your team, your workflow, salaries, work hours, prices, things like that.
Yeah, so yeah, we're also based in Norway, so the government is supporting everyone that has to get laid off for the first 20 days. It's with full salary, and then 60% of his salary. So we're very lucky. So most of our team members have been off 50% of the full-time workers. Some can work from home. I'm not one of those. It's very hard to roast from home. So for the first couple of weeks, I was only working 1 or 2 days a week. That was really hard. Now I'm back 100%. Most of the full-timers are back 100%. And we also have split into 2 teams. So we not have to shut down the business, worst case. If anyone gets sick, we have someone to roast. Yeah, so it's been strange. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that one because I think it's so important too. My constant fear is that people are living their lives and have being laid off, and maybe they don't know their rights. I think it's so important to talk a bit about what let's call it, the support systems are in the different countries, And for sure, Norway has solved it in a really good way. But I think it's also like thanks to all the taxes that we pay. There is already a system in Czech for this, which is really good. But I think like one of my hardest things, from like an emotional standpoint, I got laid off 100% from the start, and now I'm back 30%. I work 30%. And I think the hardest part for me was like not being able to see my colleagues. I had been traveling, so I had to stay at home in quarantine, and then I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't go to work. It was really stressful. I mean, it wasn't stressful, but it was like, I don't know, kind of hurtful. I felt like a really big longing to come back to work and feel like I had like some purpose of some sorts. And I can only imagine that there's more people that are feeling the same way. But yeah, that was it. Just a side comment.
I'd like to make.
No, go ahead, Simon.
I'd like to make a comment there, Kai, as well. You know, I felt like finally I could, you know, put some value on small things that before didn't mean too much to me, and suddenly they mean so much. You know.
Yeah, I think like I have the same viewpoint like you, Lisa. I'm looking at this period here as I call it a grounding, but not like you're grounded, more like, okay, everyone calm down. You have to look at your life. You're not going to have the same salary. You're going to have to save up more money because in Norway, for instance, if you're paid off or laid off, you don't get your vacation money for next year. You don't have the same saving systems that you normally do. So like everyone's like forced to like sit down and like give thanks to what you have in your life, and also like start over and start fresh. So I hope, if you haven't had that feeling yet, like think about everything that you're happy for having a job, somewhere to go. Yeah, so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, I think Simon, you kind of made that point, like you definitely feel a lot like when it all happened, it was just we went from 41 staff down to 6, and that was only then there was like two people running production, so it was me roasting and like hand packing, you know, producing labels and things like that, and then my production manager using the other packing machine, and then we would jointly dispatch orders and stuff. So it was like really like full on, you know, everything had to be planned, everything had to be ready, but like you feel so like an integral part of the company, and like kind of like this, like it really kind of like so it's got give me a lot more kind of optimism and enthusiasm to this current situation. So it's kind of like I've definitely learned a lot about efficiency, but it's great to kind of like not that I forgot like how much I love this job, like it really made you kind of like exactly what you say, Kyle, like it kind of resets you a little bit to kind of appreciate what it is and yeah, like I miss kind of like talking to colleagues. Like there'd be like 10 people in our warehouse and production, and like then it was just 2 people. So but, yeah.
Exactly. You know, to really appreciate, you know, your everyday life at work.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to get the perspective, zoom out a little bit and see, okay, these human beings are really important to me, and it's very strange to be in a roastery all by yourself. Well, yeah.
I think there's been a lot of other networks as well that have come together. So maybe you don't have your colleagues at work, but there's other networks that are created or that have just, you know, come to the forefront that are supportive. So for me, I've had, you know, like the Glasgow Chamber of Commerce have been supportive. There's been other WhatsApp groups by Scottish Enterprise, by just other business owners, like WhatsApping and making sure everyone's okay, and just really noticing that how concerned everybody is, and customers as well, how supportive customers have been by, you know, like I'm packing up the coffee and I see the orders come in and I'll notice like there's someone I've been traveling with, or I went to university with, or like one of my mum's friends or someone has like ordered coffee, and it's so heartwarming to know that everyone wants to support you. So suddenly, like, some of your networks aren't there for you that you're used to having around you every single day, but all of these other ones, these wider networks from your life or from other communities around you, from your neighborhoods, you know, you really notice that support and that love for what you do and to help your business keep moving forward.
No, for sure. That kind of leads into our next conversation, or our next, I suppose, our next question. I suppose, like, if you can answer it, like, what is the biggest change, adaptation you've had to make within the company? Has it been the likes of, you know, your web shop strategy, changing, like going to like hand deliver stuff, free delivery, or even like your marketing strategy? You know, what's maybe say the biggest thing that you've had the challenge to adapt? Who wants to? Lisa, do you want to jump in there first? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one is just moving to being more of a web shop than a wholesale business. You know, like, everyone was calling us as soon as our Prime Minister announced that he didn't want the public to hang out in bars and cafes. You know, people were calling us to cancel their orders. We were ready to deliver, and we were taking orders out the back of our van. So we don't have a delivery schedule so much anymore. We have a courier comes every day, and sometimes we have a parcel for him, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have 5. You know, like, it's just a little bit sporadic right now on the wholesale side of the business. But web shop is definitely much busier. I think maintaining our online profile has been more of a priority as well. So being on social media to communicate to customers so they know what we're doing. Maybe our online voice has changed a little bit as well, to be focused on the home brewer. Yeah, I think everything we're doing is quite organic right now. It's not really planned. I think it's always been quite temporary. I think initially with the lockdown, there was this idea of 3 weeks, which was unrealistic in my eyes. So everyone had this temporary understanding of what was happening. And in a way, we sort of had that a little bit too. And then the realization that we need to have some strategy around this to move forward. There's some more permanence around what we do. And you know, like efficiencies, I was chatting to you earlier in the week, Stephen, about, you know, like a new label printer that's going to make things faster for us, or, you know, all these kind of things. And actually projects we've been working on in the background for a long time that we've suddenly got the time to give our attention to and make happen a little bit faster. So, you know, it's positive in a way to have the time to do it now. But yeah, certainly we won't be doing, you know, Glasgow Coffee Festival this year. We had to postpone it from May to October. I'm an AST and I have another AST authorised trainer at Deer Green. We won't be doing trainings. That's just, you know, impossible. So that side of our business has gone. Yeah, so events, training, anything in person is not really going to happen. So, and I'm doing the deliveries by myself, actually, any local wholesale deliveries, and that's really nice to see customers. You know, it means the staff don't have that interface with a customer where there'd be any risk for any of my staff. I don't want my team to be in that position, so I'm taking a hit for the team. But yeah, I guess that's where we're at. The changes for us probably similar for a lot of other businesses as well.
Brilliant. Dan, do you want to?
Yeah, I think we've definitely had to change the way we talk, you know, and, you know, I think the target audience has almost changed now, you know. So before, you know, we'd be speaking to like coffee professionals or cafe owners and things like that, whereas now we're selling coffee to people who have never had this type of coffee before, and they need it ground and things like that. And we're just aware that we need to be sort of like just acknowledge that and kind of like don't get too complicated with how you talk about things, and you know, bring it back to basics. And yeah, that's kind of what we've noticed. The way we're speaking about the coffees have changed a bit, and we're kind of focusing more now on like kind of like the brewing side and like brew guides and like how to get the best of the coffee at home and things like that, which we didn't really have the time to focus on that before, but we never really focused on that anyway, because the coffee was mainly going to cafes who kind of knew what they were doing and things like that. So that's been the biggest shift for us, I think, is, you know, our customers have changed, I feel. But it's been great. You know, the response we've been getting is really good, and like it's really nice sending coffee to people who've never had this before, and you know, giving them advice, and you know, getting feedback from them and things like that has been really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very good.
And you touched on the grinding thing, I think at the start of the conversation. Like we've always, you know, offered ground coffee as an option, but never really kind of we've never like pushed it at all. But like the amount of coffee we're grinding and sending out has been huge, you know, and it's kind of made us realize, you know, like how many people, like it's made us realize how much grinding is a barrier for people, you know. So, and you know, it's not that people don't want to support us or try this type of coffee, it's just it's just the grinding issue, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know how to get around it. I don't have a solution, but we're just grinding lots of coffee at the moment, and just I think the best we can do is just say, look, try to use it as quick as you can, and you know, give them some advice. And there's been a couple of people who we have ground for, and we've kind of said, you know, it is going to be better if you grind it yourself, and they've then bought grinders, you know. So I don't think it's a bad thing, you know, if it convinces someone that, you know, this coffee is worth investing in. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It just takes ages.
It does, for sure.
Makes me feel stressed.
Yeah, I have a comment for that, because I think it's so important to just like underline exactly what you're saying now, that you've had to change the way that you communicate to your clients, both new clients and older clients. And I think it just took me back to the Coffee Roasters Guild I think it was the first Coffee Roasters Guild I was. And the first talk I saw, the speaker said, the TDS of your brew does not affect your customer's day. So like, try to make their day in a different way. Make it more easy for them to understand what specialty coffee is. And I think it's so important to meet our customers at the door and say like, hey, you know what? This is really good coffee. If we send it ground, it will not be at its best, but it's going to taste delicious, because, yeah. It's important to meet your customers in the right way.
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
The TDS of your brew doesn't affect your customer's day at all.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, it can be also an opportunity, because many roasters out there can see, you know, there are different ways to survive, or maybe different ways to deliver good coffee to customers, also as grinded. But you know, there are many people that, or many roasters that they do the flushing. We do sell some, you know, grinded coffee, very little, but we have the possibility to do like nitrogen flushing, which means it's like zero, almost zero oxygen in the bags, which is good for the consumer. But personally, for me and you know, my roasting team, the biggest change has been the way we work. You know, it's like a standard daily routine for us. We do the production, we do the cupping as a team, We do the evaluation of the production. We talk and discuss together. Now this has to go via emails or splitting the teams, due to the social distancing or whatever, so it has been very, very, very a big change for us, the way we work, but we still, again, we need to find a way that works for us. So, we have 2 guys working with the green bean buyers, the green coffee buyers. They do the sensoric analysis of the coffee. We do check the profiles. We get the feedback from these guys. So we don't interfere. We don't get this contact, in order to not, spread this virus. Also, another big issue for us, it has been that we didn't have this feedback from our customers. It has been totally different, just operating for ourselves without having this contact with the shops and the customers there. Also, adjusting the roasting profiles, the roasting production, it has been quite, demanding and new for us. Yeah. So.
And what about you, Marat?
Yeah, I won't say that it's been like major changes in our roastery. Just been trying to follow the routines as we usually do, because when it gets busy, you can easily get stressed and then you forget important things. So just been trying to follow routines as usual, not like using the corona as an excuse to do things a little bit less 100%, yeah. But one of the things that's been different is that we roast only 1 day a week. In the beginning, we roasted only 1 day a week. So we were sending out up to 6 days old coffee, like 6 days since it's been roasted. And usually we send it the same day as we roast. So that's been different. Yeah, it's been a lot of cleaning doorknobs. And in our coffee bar, it's been very different, only doing takeout, and not having more than 4 customers in the store at the time. So you have to tell people to wait patiently outside, and yeah. So been a few changes. Yeah. More like, as you guys been saying, that you have to communicate more with the home brewers and people that having home office. We also supply some offices with coffee, and some of them have ordered coffee for their workers. So we've been sending coffee directly to their door, which is very nice of their bosses, I think. Yeah.
Have you changed from going from one? Do you still just roasting 1 day a week, or have you changed that?
We roast 2 days a week now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because before we were roasting 1 day a week, and it was like a big roast day, and then it would all go out the next day. But obviously you don't know when the orders, what's coming in or anything, so we now spread it over 2 or 3 roast days, in order to be more flexible and fresher coffee and all that. But we were the same. We were doing 1 roast day, and they would all go out together. But obviously that's not possible now.
Yeah, it's something we kind of changed. We changed the kind of, we would usually have 1 or 2 production days. Well, for our big roaster, it'd be over 3 days, and then our sort of micro lots or smaller roasters were over, you know, the same, like 1 or 2 days. But we find just recently, just kind of like doing a couple roasts every day kind of just keeps everything topped up, and sending them out, kind of similar to what Marit had said about, you know, sending them out usually the next day would be our normal, but now it's kind of like 3 to 5 days after roast before they maybe go out, but it just gives you that flexibility that you can, you know, you can have stock sitting ready to go. So if you do get a lot of orders, you can kind of, you know, get them out the doors quickly. But again, you gotta kind of like, we always had to tackle the like delivery thing. You know, it's the biggest problem. You can roast stuff fresh, send out that day, but it would still take 2 weeks to get there. So always going to be challenging. I realized we're kind of getting close to like the hour here, but I just wanted to kind of ask, I suppose, a sort of final question, based around, you know, probably one of the biggest questions for us as roasters are going to be is kind of, you know, what are your thoughts on, like, you know, how you were buying green coffee and how it's going to change really in the future? Obviously, you know, traveling might be a little more difficult. How do you see yourself kind of continuing your buying, like, I suppose, your buying trends, or, you know, how do you think it's going to affect yourselves going forward? You know, Lisa, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I go to Origin every year. I go like 1 trip usually a year. This year I decided not to already before all of this, because you know, I don't want to do something. I need to justify every action to do with the business, with environmentally as well. So I felt like I didn't really have a purpose this year for going to Origin. If I did, it would have been a jolly. So I decided not to. There wasn't, you know, I've been to see a lot of producers we buy from, or to an Origin that I buy from. So I feel like I have an understanding of where I buy from and how to make informed choices. So I reached a point that I'm comfortable with my learning curve and the relationships I've built up over those trips. So yeah, I'm kind of lucky I'm not cancelling some long haul flight, or, you know, this year, or rescheduling anything. But I think the timing of this coronavirus and the timing of coffee arriving, or of the harvests, has actually kind of gone in the favour of roasters in terms of our buying patterns. So I hadn't committed to any new contracts. I have like my annual contract for Brazil. So, and, you know, I have a large stock of Colombia, Rwanda. Like, I have a few things that I've got enough to see me through what my normal usage would be. So now I've got a chance, in actual fact, to buy some really super delicious coffee. I've been cupping a lot. Cupping's a whole other ball game these days. So it's kind of tricky when you get a tiny sample, and we have 2 of us cupping now to make a buying decision. So we're actually cupping 2 cups each from a 50-gram sample, which is kind of fun. But we have to have a separate cupping table each, 2 meters apart, and then we discuss our results afterwards. So kind of still quite a similar process, but we need more coffee to do it. So any importers out there listening?
I hear you. Message received.
Cool. So yeah, that's a whole other dynamic. But I think this time of year means you know, I'm having time to, like I said, I'm having a reset. I'm having more time to really analyze the coffee, really make like well-informed buying choices, even though I can't really predict how much I'm going to need of everything. I think because I have more of a web shop, I can pick some really nice small lots of unique coffees and feel confident that I can sell them, and, you know, feel really happy about being able to buy them and to buy from some small farmers and relationships that we've built up over the years. So again, just looking at the positives, really, to be honest. I got invited to El Salvador today, so maybe that'll happen next year. You know, like, we don't know. So I feel comfortable right now that we're not overstocked. Everyone was buying toilet roll, and I got loads of Brazil in. I overstocked in Brazil. That was my panic buy. Just in case there was roadblocks, I was like, I gotta make sure we got some green coffee. But yeah, I don't really see any problems going forward. I'm just enjoying cupping some nice coffees and making nice decisions right now.
Nice.
Cool.
Dan, do you want to go ahead there?
Yeah, for us, it's we're obviously going through a lot less espresso, you know, but that's fine. I think it's just gonna. We don't buy, like, with kind of how we work. We don't buy a lot of one thing anyway. It's more kind of like lots of small things. Well, I don't know. What's happened since this has happened is we're selling a lot more filter coffees. I don't know if anyone else has found the same, but we're roasting more filter now than ever before. And I think when this hit and we were cupping and making buying decisions, we were pretty conservative with the filter lots that we chose. So it's kind of annoying because the coffees we're kind of releasing now are only going to last, I don't know, maybe 10 weeks, a month. So yeah, well, no, less than 10 weeks. It'll be like six weeks or something like that. So that's kind of annoying, but you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It just means we get to buy some other nice things. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool. I mean, it's
yeah.
nice to hear that. Like, I think my biggest fear would be like that I would run out of coffee and that I would have to change the pricing tiers for the coffees that you actually buy. But your entire customer segment has changed, so I guess it gives you slightly more freedom. And also keeping it a bit fresh, changing out your menu or your what do you call it, your options through your web shop is probably more interesting for your customers as well, because you can promote different stories, different origins, comparison games like Kenya versus Ethiopia. La la la. Yeah. I haven't thought about it that way. I was like, I'm sure people have like just like made masses of huge buying so not to run out of coffee. Or be like, oh, I can't buy any good coffee this year. I'm only gonna buy like cheaper like stuff that I know that I can sell for the right price and get the right turnover.
For us, like, my biggest fear was we were just not going to sell it. Like, you know, all our customers were cafes pretty much. Yeah, we had an online shop and we've got a subscription, but like it wasn't massive, you know, like, and I was just afraid because like our business relies on we kind of trade off the freshness thing with like telling the seasonality story and things like that. So I just didn't want to be caught in a situation where we're roasting, we're stuck with lots of stock. So we kind of went quite conservative. And with the espresso, it's fine. We're going to be fine with espresso, but like the filters, we didn't ever predict that we would, you know, roast more than we were, you know, which is great. So it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mara, from your perspective in terms of like buying coffee and how much that's going to change going forward?
Tim does all the buying decisions. I was actually with him. We went to Honduras and El Salvador to buy coffee in February. So it was just right before everything happened. So we have close relationships with our farmers, and I'm sure that Tim and our producers will figure out a good solution. So yeah, we'll see. I know he has bought some Kenyan coffees already, so that's what I know. And when it comes to going to origin again, it's hard to say because of the restrictions. I don't know when things will open up again, and if we're gonna have another round of COVID in the winter. Yeah, we don't know yet, so it's hard to say. My colleague Ben was going to Colombia with him in April, so that was really sad for him to not be able to go. So yeah.
I have felt because sorry, go on.
Go down.
I have felt because we're a small business. It's like it's nice that we can be nimble. You know, we do want to work towards, building relationships with producers and things like that. But I can only imagine like how much harder it is if we had those commitments in place, and a lot more wholesale customers we were relying on. Our lives would be a lot more difficult. But essentially, at the moment, we're kind of buying off spot, and I think we're just quite thankful that we can be nimble, and we can change pretty quickly, which is nice.
For our company, we have a green coffee buying team, which consists of 2 amazing Q-graders, and also we are quite old company, and we have had this long-term relationship with farms, which actually it's not a big deal for us if we don't have to travel this year to Colombia or Kenya or El Salvador or wherever, because of this relationship. And also they can do their job quite easily by video chatting and emails and stuff like that. So the issue with the traveling is not a big issue for us, and it looks like it's going to be like this for the whole year. I was talking to the green buyers, and they told me that probably they will start from the next year. They will start planning eventually to visit some farms. Yeah. So I think they're using some scenarios. They're looking, they're evaluating the situation, and they see, how the production goes. And for our company, right now we are about 20% down from compared to the last year, which is quite good number, which makes their job more, predictable, more easy, to predict how much coffee they want to buy for the future. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a kind of good point with it. Like what they're damn made, sometimes it would be a lot easier if we were a bit smaller, because we're the same kind of probably sort of volume to Simo, like having to buy, I think it's 20 plus containers a year, and sort of like with our wholesale going down to around about like 10-12%, was quite difficult hit. Again, you made the point, Kyle, or I think they submitted, like a lot of our contracts hadn't been renewed yet, so we were kind of in that interim. So it kind of worked out well that we now have stock to keep us going for a bit longer. But that is going to be interesting, I suppose, when more samples are coming in, what sort of volumes you're going to be able to buy in. Does it make it worthwhile bringing them in containers and things like that? So I think it'll be interesting, I think, for everyone. We are kind of getting close towards, I think these kind of things are kind of limited by time. So I just wanted to sort of wrap everything up. I think this has been really great. I really appreciate Simo, Lisa, Dan, and Marit, you all taking the time to sit down and have a chat. I wish we could all do this kind of in person, you know, and like have a beer and sort of chill out. But it's I think this is something we might have to get used to for a while. But I think that's kind of what I wanted to finish on was, you know, this is probably what us as the Coffee Roasters Guild are going to try and do often, try and do a lot more online events, whether it's going to be like, you know, retreat, camp, trying to move them out of online platforms, and then, you know, various different discussions. There's another one of these coming up now in the next couple of weeks where we have same sort of style, but it'll be from America and South America. So that'll be kind of an interesting, I think it'll be another interesting sort of set of perspectives from that part of the world. So yeah, I just wanted to say thanks very much to you all. And yeah, it's been great having you all here talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please, everyone, take care of yourself and your colleagues. And I hope we speak soon.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
thanks. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.